Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Sophie Willmott and I am your next generation recruitment lead at CBRE. I'm joined today by Katie, who is one of our senior surveyors in our capital allowances business area. Katie, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit better than I'm doing.
Yes, hello everyone. I work in the capital allowances team and I'm going to give an overview of what capital allowances is, my day-to-day, and what's so great about our team and working at CBRE.
Thank you. So we're going to give you a little bit of an overview. The idea of doing the webinar today is we've got lots of different areas that I think are maybe hidden within a company the size of CBRE. And although our main schemes are no longer live, we are advertising some more individual roles that will go live from tomorrow morning. So just wanted to give you the opportunity to get an understanding about what's about to go live. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to bombard us at the end. We're going to leave plenty of time for you to really ask us anything that you want. So we're well used to answering all your weird and wonderful questions. But we're going to kick off and give you kind of like an overview about CBRE. If you haven't heard of us, I'm not too surprised, I have to be honest. I'm relatively new to the business. I don't think I'd heard much of them, but once I started to see that logo, I was like, oh my goodness, this company is absolutely everywhere. And since I've joined, I get friends all around the UK sending me sort of pictures in the most random places, usually either industrial estates or a couple of our big client offices. We go there. So if you haven't known, who are we? We are a global real estate. We're actually probably the #1 property company. We feature in the Fortune 500. We have over 100,000 employees across 500 offices in over 100 countries. And we've been going for over 100 years. So I think that gets people get a little bit surprised about that as well. So just to give you an understanding about the kind of overreach about CBRE and kind of who we are. Again, as I mentioned, if you haven't heard the name, you'll probably know our clients, and you can see on the screen there that we've got some pretty household brands as our clients. So your likes of your Google, your Facebook, Amazon's up there, Boots, your Carphone Warehouse, even my favorite shop, Primark, is on there. And if anyone's ever been to a WeWorks office or has got friends that have been a part of a WeWorks office, they're also a big client of us. And WeWorks are known for, being these kind of really inspiring offices, with their champagne taps and their fancy coffee machines, and being just a really wonderful, vibrant place to kind of work, and that kind of sort of hybrid model of, almost like the gym membership equivalent, isn't it, for your office space? So that's the kind of innovation. I just want to give you a bit of context about what it is, what we do for our clients. We really are changing the way people live, work and play. That's what we're about. And they're the type of people that we're looking for. We're looking for problem solvers. We're looking for people that are great face-to-face with clients, and people that are just here to look at things from a little bit of a different perspective. Now, one of the reasons, obviously being a new starter myself, one of the reasons I was really keen to go in about them is the thing that I've been really impressed with coming into the business is about our kind of diversity and inclusion stuff. And I know from being in the early careers market for a really long time, I know that there are these type of networks that are kind of replicated across other organizations. But I think the difference is at CBRE is these ability networks, faith networks, family networks, women's network, the Proud Network, Reach. We've even got an armed forces. The reasons why I think these are a little bit different at CBRE is they are really carving and making changes. So, for example, really recently we've seen a joint venture with the Proud Network, the Women's Network and the Family Network to really change our legislation with our family benefits. So I just think this is quite innovative. I've not known another company to do that. It's recently announced that all of our family perks and benefits have really taken into consideration that families come in all shapes and sizes. So if people need additional time off for fertility treatments, regardless if you're going through adoption, surrogacy, our benefits are now tailored for those kind of different aspects. And I just think I really want to let you know that when you join an organization, it's so important to make sure that you feel included, that you're happy with the company culture, because it's not just about the day-to-day work. And I know Katie's going to go through this in a little bit more detail about what it means to feel a part of a bigger team, and why that's important during your day-to-day. So obviously I'm here with my kind of recruitment hat on, early careers is what I do. As I mentioned, our main schemes have kind of closed now. But what I really want to talk to you today about our opportunities in our more niche areas. So our graduate schemes are award-winning. We really do think that they offer a really excellent start into the business. We've got kind of excellent career progressions. It's going to give you the chance to jump straight into the workplace. As well as having lots of kind of great company, culture and these networks that you can be part of. We've got a full range of company benefits that are very much competitive to everything else in the market. A thing that I think is kind of really key to CBRE and makes us stand out is we're one of the few organisations that still do a formal graduate induction weekend. So that means regardless of what office you join across the UK, you're all going to be coming down to London, get to know everybody else on the cohort. We show you around, put you up in London for a little while. And then at the end of the week, we take you away to Bude down in Cornwall, where there's lots of surfing and having fun. And it's a bit of bonding. We really recognise that actually that's so key to your kind of kickstart into the organization, and networking is a huge part of any business that we want to make sure we give you all of the tools to be able to do that effectively. I think another few perks that I think about joining our graduate schemes is obviously gaining an accreditation with a relevant institution, especially for people going through their kind of surveying APC. We've got 100% success rate. It's something we're very, very proud of. We do have the bonus of a dedicated learning development team, especially for our next generation portfolios and programs. You've got dedicated people that you can call up or email if you've got any problems. And also, we're a multidisciplinary organisation. The fact that you won't just be working with, you'd be picking things up from lots of different teams as well. So that's what we can offer you. What are we advertising from tomorrow? Well, if you're not, we're growing all the time. So we're now launching a brand new for this year environmental consultancy pathway. That's something that we're really, really excited about. And we've started to see environmental consultancy growing over the last 18 months. So we're delighted to now be able to offer a dedicated graduate scheme there. We've also got capital allowances. They're looking for graduates this year, and Katie has joined me today to tell them a little bit more about that. We've also got geomatics, building surveying, and we've also got facade engineering as well. So these are lots of kind of things I think are a little bit hidden maybe within our business, or maybe it's not something that kind of springs to mind. When you immediately think about careers in property, you might think of your chartered surveyors, but if there's any quantity surveyors on the call thinking that they might want to get involved, or maybe there's some people that are doing structural engineering, looking for maybe alternative ways of kind of using that structural engineering degree, there's plenty opportunities available. So please have a look when they go live tomorrow. You'll be able to find them on our next generation page of our website. You'll be able to click the links on there. And then I'm just going to flick this one quickly just to talk to you about the graduate recruitment process that we have. It's a really simplified process. You upload your CV and you'll then complete an application form. So tell us all about yourself. There's no scary video interviews or anything like that. All of the kind of motivational fit questions and information that we want for you will be included on that application form. So I do recommend spending a bit of time on that to really make sure you are selling yourself in the best possible way, or really highlighting the experience that you've got. The next stage will be an online assessment. Now, this is something that I have recently gone through myself, because I would not want to put anything as part of the process unless I've gone through it myself. So this is not a verbal numerical assessment. It's really focusing on your capabilities. So it's not something you need to do too much practice with. I would just recommend answering honestly. That's the best way to go about it, but don't panic. We put a few practice questions in there for you as well. Now, once you've done that, with those two streams of your application form, your CV, and the results of your online assessment, that's basically going to build up a profile of yourself. That's the tools that I'm going to be using to decide who I bring to the assessment centres. And as you can see on the screen, the assessment centres will be due to take place in February. And after that, we'll be proceeding with some offers. So a relatively simple and straightforward process there as well. Sorry, I'm just going to flick back and tell you a little bit more about the accreditations, because I think that's something that we might get asked a lot at. We have a traditional kind of graduate scheme that we call our kind of cognates. That's someone that was coming from either a RICS accredited degree, that they're looking to get their APC. Obviously, depending on the specialism that we've talked about earlier, this might change. It might not be with RICS. It could be with CBRE if you're looking more at the engineerings. It could be with the Chartered Institute of Environmental Management if you're looking at environmental consultancy. But I just want to give you the option there that we also have a non-cognate degree scheme as well. So especially for the likes of capital allowances, that maybe they would look at taking people from alternative kind of RICS accredited degrees, we'll essentially pay for you to do that masters to make sure you've then got the accreditation and you can go and get your APC as well. So just if anyone gets a little bit confused when they're looking on the advert about the difference between cognate or non-cognate, that's essentially what it means. But you will find further information on those detailed individual job adverts as well. So I'm now going to hand over to Katie, and she can tell us a little bit more about herself, and she's far more interesting than I am. So I will come to you later and hand you over. Thank you, Katie.
Thanks so much, Sophie. Yes, so hi everyone. My name is Katie Bates, and I work in the capital allowances team as a surveyor. I joined CBRE 3 years ago as a non-cognate graduate. Having studied economics at the University of Edinburgh, I wanted to apply my numerical and analytical skill set to a property career. Even though I had no background or experience in this sector when I was graduating, CBRE was very open to sponsoring a master's degree in real estate, which I've just completed, and this will accelerate my route to chartership. And this is one of the great things about working at CBRE. As an employee, you feel super valued, and undertaking the conversion programme in real estate couldn't have been easier with CBRE's wealth of resources at my fingertips. So a typical day for me would involve, when Boris permits, going into the office and meeting with my colleagues on current projects, analysing cost information and preparing claim reports. At the moment, I'm working on an industrial property portfolio, which gives me the responsibility of managing the client relationship and meeting with them in person or virtually with updates on our progress. The nature of our work would suit anyone who likes a mix of analytical number crunching with the opportunity to develop client relationships. Attending site surveys is also an important aspect as projects span across the UK. I found attending site surveys a highlight of my role, as it brings to life the project and allows you to address issues you may not be able to resolve remotely. If you're also coming from a non-cognate background, I really recommend undertaking a sponsored master's, as CBRE are really supportive and able to provide you with all the resources you could ask for to help you gain your qualification. I've also found at CBRE that everyone is very helpful and wants you to succeed. There is a one-team ethos, which I think is super important when joining a company, as it allows you to develop your skills in all aspects of the business and discover service lines you didn't know existed when attending networking events, especially those aimed at graduate level. Getting involved in all opportunities thrown at you is the best way to discover your strengths or addressing gaps in your knowledge, and there is no better way to do that than here at CBRE. In my experience, joining the graduate cohort is a no-brainer, as it gives you a solid base network, which can then develop as you gain experience across the company, as well as making new friends along the way. So if moving on to what is capital allowances. So the capital allowances team sits within the building consultancy department here at CBRE, and capital allowances are a form of tax relief available to commercial property investors. So we prepare and submit claims on behalf of our clients, reducing their tax liability. So, for example, we might have a client incurring expenditure on an office fit out, say £1 million, and typically 75 to 80% of that money qualifies for tax relief under a term we call PMAs, which stands for plant and machinery allowances. So effectively, this includes all items. If you could pick up the building and shake it, everything that would fall out. So furniture, light fittings, mechanical and electrical equipment, carpet, and things like that. So that's what we do. We analyse the cost information of the fit out, and that's how we determine their tax savings. We also undertake site surveys to assist with these analyses, and this involves travelling across the UK and sometimes further afield to Ireland, which is always nice to get out of the office and put into practice your surveying skills. So a recent example of a project we worked on is the Great Eastern Hotel at Euston, pictured on the slide. And this was a great one to survey due to its history and grandeur. I feel very lucky when I can work on projects like these, in addition to saving to just shy of £2 million in tax for a client. So it's a win-win situation. So yeah, I really enjoyed the balance of analytical desktop work and going out to site, which at the moment is typically a few times a month. Our team specialises in all areas of commercial property, which means one day you could be analysing cost information of a boutique hotel and the next surveying a student accommodation block. The nature of the job is dependent on legislation, which means we hold monthly technical sessions on case law, meaning that you're always learning something new and evolving your technical expertise. And I think this is really important to stay engaged and question any legislative changes that are being made. So as mentioned earlier, our team supports the route to becoming a chartered surveyor, and this is great to do within such a large company, as all the information, APC and property related, is at our fingertips. The route to chartership in capital allowances is the taxation allowances route, which really hones in on this specialist area and makes you stand out as a unique candidate. The wider department also holds APC surgeries, which helps with development of construction and project management knowledge too. As our team is dual qualified in surveying and tax, studying towards tax qualifications such as the ATT are also encouraged, and they complement the route to chartership. So moving on from the work side of things, the capital allowances team itself is made up of 11 people who have all come from different surveying and tax backgrounds. Currently, 9 of us are London-based, but we are keen to expand into the regions and further afield. This is another great thing about working at CBRE. There are offices up and down the country, so you're not necessarily tied to one area, which is even more important with the rise of hybrid working. We're a sociable team and hold events throughout the year. A perk of working at CBRE is the chance to participate in extracurricular activities such as charity days, socials and networking events. Our team most recently participated in a charity Tough Mudder, and we raised £2,500 for Macmillan Cancer Support Between Us. And for those who enjoy sports, our team also participates in triathlons, walking challenges, and we're always open up to a new challenge. We also hold annual social events such as the Henley Royal Regatta in the summer and the Grand National at Aintree, as well as numerous socials held department-wide throughout the year. Aside from socials, charity days are important to us as well. We got involved in a soup kitchen day where we prepared and served meals to the homeless community in Clapham, and other charity days have included day trips to the farm with disadvantaged children during our charity partnership with Action for Children. So summing up, why should you want to join the capital allowances team? Firstly, there is ample opportunity for career progression and gaining both surveying and tax qualifications in a niche team while still getting the benefits of working at an international company. Being a team of 11 means there is room for new graduates to have real input, whether that be via organising socials, running team meetings, technical sessions, or bringing something new to the table from a fresh perspective. Capital allowances legislation is constantly evolving, meaning that it remains challenging on a day-to-day basis, and no two projects are ever the same. This is an exciting time for CBRE and the capital allowances team, with an enviable list of retained clients and pipeline of projects with which to be involved. There is significant opportunity for an aspirational individuals to be influential at graduate level and in the wider CBRE organisation going forward. We are a very sociable team and open to new ideas on social events and charity days. We're keen for graduates to join with an enthusiasm to get involved in all aspects of our team, whether that be how we drive culture and wellbeing, fundraising events, or something completely new. Finally, the work-life balance and access to extracurricular networking groups and activities, which run company-wide, are unrivaled. The team is very encouraging of participation in these groups and are keen for new graduates to take advantage of these as much as possible. So I hope this quick overview of the capital allowances team has been of interest, and happy to answer any questions you guys have. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Katie. I'm going to kind of hand over questions, but before I kind of hand it over to everybody else, I kind of wanted to, I've got a couple of questions for you. I hope you don't mind me throwing them at you. My first one is, at what point, obviously the fact that you come as a non-cog background, at what point had you heard about capital allowances, thought actually I might be a good fit for that, or it's something that's really interesting? At what point did you think, yeah, this is the one for me?
Yeah, sure. I was my final year at university, and I was looking for something that required like analytical, numerical kind of skills, but also didn't want to have to be tied to a desk all day, every day. So I think it was the mixture of being able to go out and survey and look at the projects in real life, as well as coming back and actually doing the numerical work. Then I was like, oh yeah, that sounds like it's up my street. So I saw the job description, and yeah, so yeah, I've not looked back. So.
And I know you've been at CBRE for quite a while now, but thinking back to when you were kind of making those that first initial applications for the graduate scheme, what was your impression of CBRE before you joined, and has that changed since you've been in the business?
Yeah, so at first I thought I was quite, it's such a big company. I was like, oh, what am I getting myself into? I wasn't too sure. It's such a big company, but then as soon as you join, you just feel like immediately like quite at home. Everyone's so friendly and super supportive. It's got a really good community feel, and especially because we've got all these smaller teams, specialist teams within each department. You don't feel like you're just another cog in a big machine. It's really inclusive environment. So yeah, I think that's how it's changed. As soon as I joined, I just immediately felt like really like comfortable and like listened to as well, which is really important.
I would definitely say, obviously being a new person, I wasn't expecting for it to have this real family feeling.
Yeah.
I know it sounds very, very cliche to say, but there is that kind of thing, we are the kind of a CBRE family, and everyone's kind of very, very supportive. So yeah, I felt that even as a new person that's only been here a relatively short space of time, I've definitely got that impression. But it's nice to know that other areas of the business feel like that as well. That's always something I'm really conscious about, like, is people having the same kind of experience everywhere else? And do you remember your time in the kind of graduate kind of induction? Do you remember being part of that?
Yeah, there was loads of events going on in the first year. There was loads of graduate networking events, which is really good to meet the rest of your cohort, and also just learn about different service lines. Could be like, oh, I've never heard of what your role is, what does that involve? And then if you can have the opportunity to rotate, if you're on the program as well, you can express interest in what you'd like to specialize in, or there's a lot of flexibility. And when you join CBRE, you're not just necessarily tied to doing what you initially joined to do. So it's all good. You can kind of bend with where you feel like you would do really well in. So it's good.
So knowing everything that you know now, and I suppose you must be helping on the other side of it now, as with these new applications coming in and using your years of experience, what tips would you give for someone new thinking that they want to apply for CBRE, or thinking more specifically that they want to apply for capital allowances? What would you recommend they do, or things to kind of consider? Any kind of hints and tips or advice that you would share with them?
Yeah, I think definitely keep an open mind, and even if you don't necessarily have the real estate qualifications at the moment, like that doesn't, it's not a restriction. You can definitely work in your favor as well, because you'll have different skills from different like degrees and such. So I think top tip is to just go in like 100%. I really believe in yourself, and if you're really keen at property and want to excel in property, like you'll be fine. If that's your passion, you can get there without having necessarily all the qualifications from a cognate degree, for example. So yeah.
Amazing, Katie. Thank you. I'm going to go over to the questions that have been coming through in the chat. I've noticed the first one is for you, Katie, so I'm going to read it out to you. It's from Aaron, and he said, Katie, you mentioned doing a master's. Was this alongside your work, and did your studies become part-time? Was the workload balance good and rewarding?
Sure. Yeah. So the master's was part-time. So it was 2 years from 2019 to 21. And yeah, it was alongside work. So what I tended to do was, when we were in the office, stay after work and work in the office in the evenings to work on my master's. But also CBRE are really accommodating with it. They give you 2 study days per exam, so that worked out really well as well. So you're not using up all your annual leave to study and revise. But yeah, I found the balance quite good, to be honest, and it really helped, especially in capital allowances, because it's quite a specialist area and I had no construction knowledge. So when I was doing like a module on construction or sustainable construction, I was learning about like the parts of a roof or things like that I hadn't any knowledge before. And then when I was coming to do a capital allowances claim, I could see these cost items and be like, oh, that's what that means now. So it kind of complemented my work. So I think it's definitely benefited my day-to-day as well. So yeah, the balance is definitely, it's achievable. It is hard work, but it's very rewarding. So, and it's not, you know, if you wanted to do it longer than 2 years, you can defer modules and do it over a longer period of time if you're struggling. So it's not, you don't have to do it strictly for 2 years. It's
so there's not an awful lot, there's no that pressure being put upon you to say you must do this within 24 months.
Because other commitments can come up. So it's really flexible, and CBRE are really understanding with that. And yeah, so I found it really, really recommend it.
Amazing. Aaron's got another question. I think this one's more for me. He says he's already made an application. Am I limited to just one per year? Aaron, if there's something that we've talked about today that's going to go live tomorrow, I definitely would recommend you putting in another application. You'll only have to do the testing once. Don't panic. You know, once you go further in the process, if you're successful, then obviously we will ask you to pick a fave. But at this point, I do recommend if there's something more on the niche areas that you would like to apply for, then I would encourage you to do that if you meet the criteria. Absolutely. I just had a similar question from Will. Would applying for more than one role be beneficial to secure a place, or would my ample be cast onto my? So if you have already applied and I'm going through your applications and I do think actually you would be a good fit for a different business area, I do, you know, they are read by people. It's not read by a machine. It is me that's reading them. So I always use my best judgment. If there is something in that situation where I think that you're going to be in a better fit for another area, then absolutely I'm going to be picking up the phone to you and asking you to consider it. Again, Will, similar response that I've said to Aaron. If it's something that you have heard about today, Katie's done her job well enough and you all want to sit there and go and join capital allowances, then please, when those adverts go live tomorrow, have a read through with them. And if you want to apply, then feel free to. Absolutely. I realise there's lots of ones that we scroll down. What areas do we expect to apply for the quantity surveying graduate scheme? That's from Betty. So quantity surveying obviously goes straight into capital allowances. We get a lot of quantity surveyors, and there's that RICS accreditation route that comes through. Katie's obviously come from a different pathway, but absolutely we would encourage anyone from a quantity surveying background to apply for the capital allowances graduate scheme as well. There are other options available within we call our project management and building services business area. There are more focused on building surveys this year. So if there are any quantity surveyors on the call, actually the capital allowances team are the ones that are kind of really focused on hiring and growing this year. So they're excellent kind of way to sort of hedge your bets and get your foot in the door there as well. We've got another question here about someone that was working as a property consultant up until they moved into the UK. Are there any opening for part-time consultants? Right. Unfortunately, I only look after our early careers and our next generation roles. So unfortunately, I am not the best person to ask about anyone that's got kind of a lot of experience that they're looking to get into. But we do have, you know, a big careers page on our website. I would Google on there, use the search function on the careers page for anything that's going to be suitable for you. If that's not working, then I recommend using LinkedIn. All of our recruiters at CBRE are very kind of present, visible on LinkedIn, so it shouldn't be too hard to find them. Or you can connect with me and I can point you in the right direction of the colleague that might be best for you. Another question, do CBRE hire RTPI accredited urban planners? Yes, absolutely. We do have a planning scheme that has unfortunately just closed, but if you've missed that, then please feel free to email me directly and we can have a look about maybe getting your application in separately. It's something that we're always kind of keen to, I wouldn't want to kind of lose a planner. They're quite hard to find. So please give me my email. My email is sophie.willmott@cbre.com. So it's quite easy to remember. And that's the same if anyone's got any specific questions that they want to take offline, then I'm really happy to do that too. Important question from Will. Do you know when the online tests release? I applied back in November. Will, they are going very, very shortly. I'm aiming for either the end of this week, very beginning of next week. Essentially, I want to give everyone the festive break time period to complete those testings. So don't panic. We'll give you plenty of time to complete them. They only take about 40 minutes to do, but I want to give everyone the Christmas break to do that. So everyone who's applied so far and is waiting to hear, you'll get those that link to do the testing imminently. It's coming. Do we hire international students requiring job sponsorship? Yep, absolutely. We do sponsor student visas. We do ask on that application form to make it clear about what type of sponsorship you need. So it's just something to make it kind of clear on your application form, just so I am aware. Just don't want you to miss out any dates, and it usually helps to kind of highlight to the team ahead of time. So yeah. Question from Anna, do you have any short length work experience by any chance? So we do have a summer internship scheme which runs for 4 weeks in July and in August, and that is still open at the moment. So if anyone's looking for work experience, you can go to our website and click on the next generation link there, and you can make an application for work summer work experience. That is paid. Typical when I think of work experience, I think of maybe like school age children as well, so that's kind of not paid there. So yeah, we do more focus on kind of summer internships for people still at university and things like that. And yeah, that's a nice paid work experience to do. I know it seems a bit up in the air considering all kind of registrations that just come back in from Omicron, but we are, back in the offices. We're hoping as soon as we possibly can. We do, as Katie mentioned, we have a hybrid working approach. But for those that are coming to do internships next summer, we really are hoping that they'll be sort of full-time back in the office. Katie, where are you based? Are you in our London office?
Yeah, I'm based in London, yeah. So the new Henrietta House.
Which is going to be my next question. Have you had a chance? Have you done your tour yet?
No, I haven't, because I had a COVID scare, so sadly had to. Yeah, I know. So I've still not been. But virtually, I've seen it virtually. It looks amazing. I've heard amazing things about it. It's like, yeah, it's amazing inside.
So if anyone's not aware, the CBRE in London have got a flagship office, which is called Henrietta House. Now, Henrietta House has been shut for about, I feel like nearly 2 years from the conversations that have been going on. And the idea, obviously, this is even before COVID, they were like, ways of working are changing. So they were kind of redesigning the office to take that into consideration. So then that obviously got slowed up by COVID, but we've taken everything into consideration. We're going to launch it properly in January, and it'll be up fully working and running. But the idea is this is fit for this hybrid way of working. We have our own coffee shops, we have our own restaurants, we have client specific entertaining areas, we have 360 degree views over London. There's a spin studio, there's gym equipment. This is a place where you can kind of have this really lovely collaborative. The technology is meant to be fantastic. Everything is controlled by an app. You can even get your coffee delivered to your desk via the app, which I was just mind blown. So it's all stuff that we're really, really excited about to have in London and have that kind. So we are really hoping that all of our assessment centres will be held in London, especially at the Henrietta House. So it's a chance for you guys to really see what that environment looks like, and hopefully gets you excited for working at CBRE. Anyone that wants to apply for some of our regional offices, the assessment centres will obviously be held in those regional offices, but they've all recently been redone as well. Glasgow's recently reopened. Manchester is beautiful. So yeah, hopefully you'll get the understanding that, they're a really inspiring place to work, which they have to be. I think if property is our thing, like if that's our game, we've got to be the ones that are kind of able to show off a little bit about what we can do. So yeah, definitely the offices reflect that. So we've just got another question in there. I'm a student at QMLT, so I'm in MSc in International Business. It's always been fascinating for a long time. Is my degree going to be a barrier to your recruitment process? No, I'm actually going to hand that over to Katie, because you've come from a non-cog background.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not, no, I wouldn't say it's a barrier. I'd say use it to your advantage, because you have all this, MSc in international business, and you can use that definitely to your advantage and bring in those different skills and all that knowledge you've learned from that to the business, and yeah, you'll excel and you'll just pick up all the property knowledge on the way as well. And there's different routes to chartership as well if you wanted to get chartered, so you don't necessarily need to have an RICS accredited degree. You can just do the experience route, and there's other ways, but it's not, you don't always have to do the traditional accredited route if that was what you were looking into doing. So no, I wouldn't say it's a barrier.
I love that. I love the way you've just said that. Use it to your advantage. Show off. So that's what we recommend doing. It's not, we definitely don't prioritize over a particular degree. You might find in the job advert it says ideally this degree, but we'll also consider that. So don't say that as I'm not going to apply, because that's not what they ideally want. We're just giving you an idea about kind of what was maybe the standard route. But as Katie is testament to, that actually people come from all different backgrounds, and actually that's great because that just adds to the diversity of our organization.
Yeah.
Have I missed any questions? Oh, great question, Anna. What makes a candidate stand out for you? So obviously the application form is your first point of contact to stand out to us. So in that application form, I'm asking lots of kind of motivational fit questions. So the people that really stand out are the ones that I can really tell have taken time and effort to do a good job on that. So, you know, we're asking sort of, you know, why real estate, why CBRE? So anything that kind of can illustrate that you really understand what it is about the industry that you want to get involved in. Obviously that's gonna make you stand out. What I would say is don't stand out for the wrong reasons. I still find it every year that people copy and paste from other organizations. Now, I know you're applying for all of the big graduate schemes. I am under no illusion that that does not happen, but I don't want to read about it. So when you do, you know, before you push send, make sure you do a sense check and make sure you're not kind of said, I want to work for Savills, because unfortunately it is going to reflect badly on you. As much as I want to love what you're saying, even just not doing, you know, just do that little sense check. If you're unsure, get a friend to look it over, get, you know, someone from the university to look over it. Just do a little bit of a sense check and make sure that spelling, punctuation, grammar, all of those basic things, and obviously not putting in one of our competitors' name, just make sure that that's done right, because that is a little bit of a little recruiter's little bugaboo, I would absolutely say. But just make sure your passion comes across. And I know that's very cliche for me to say. And I just think maybe get into the habit of maybe someone else looking over it for you and just saying to them, am I selling myself well? Am I coming across well? Is there aspects of my life that I'm missing out? I think it's very easy at university to really focus only on your degree or any relevant work experience. But I would actually say we've seen the last 2 years that work experience or internships haven't been able to take place in the same way that they would have done. So think about other ways that you've been able to get relevant business attributes in experience. And sometimes that can be in all shapes and forms. Don't discount the, you know, doing sports, great group sports, like that's going to give you teamwork and organization skills as well. I speak to a lot of people that do charity outreach or volunteer stuff, and it's stuff that they do because they like doing it. They've never seen that it's actually got transferable work skills. So do have a little think about things that you do outside of just kind of university. You're more than just your degree. So think about every aspect that you can bring and what you're kind of going to bring to that organization. I think this is a question for you, Katie, so I'm going to hand it over. What skills have you found essential for success in your graduate job?
Oh, I think one that stands out for me is just like networking and talking to people has been one of the biggest drivers. I think that's, just talking to all your colleagues and getting to know the different service lines within the CBRE. I think that's a great accelerator into just understanding the business, and being able to just like talk about what we do as well is a really big thing for like business development. So the more you practice, the bit better you'll get. And then all the desktop like analytical work comes with that as well. So I'd say, yeah, any opportunity that's thrown at you when you join, just take it and enjoy it.
Had another question about do we provide a European or international rotation whilst on the commercial real estate pathway? Now, obviously, our graduate schemes run for 24 months, so for 2 years. Now, during that time, that's going to be UK based. Like, we don't expect to kind of rotate people around. But obviously, one of the drawing factors of joining a global organisation is the potential that you could be moving around. You could do a secondment in another office. Katie, whilst I've got you on the call, is there anyone that you're aware of in your team or any experience that you might have had of people kind of working in offices abroad?
Yeah, sure. So we had one of our colleagues in the Melbourne office in Australia. He joined us. It was January 2020. So it was only for a short amount of time. It would have been longer if there wasn't COVID. But that was an example where he came over from the QS team in Melbourne and then joined the capital allowances team. So yeah, anything's possible in CBRE if you wanted to go abroad, do a secondment.
Yeah, I would just say it just doesn't happen whilst you're on that kind of graduate scheme.
Yeah,
when you're kind of very early on in your thing. But obviously it is only 2 years, and once you've kind of got that, then the world is your oyster. And you know, I always think the best way to kind of go about and approach that, if that's something that's kind of you're keen to do, is just be quite open with your line manager. You know, we have regular catch-ups, you know, we have our kind of performance reviews every year. Bring up those questions. There's something that's kind of high on your agenda, and that's not just about travel. I think that's about anything that you might have heard, seen, other people in your network doing. Just be kind of open about it and have those kind of honest conversations, because if you don't ask, or your manager's not aware of what your goals are, they can't kind of facilitate. And yeah, we talk a lot about building your kind of internal brand, and I think that's one of them that comes into it. So yeah. So the graduate schemes, the main schemes that we've been talking in terms of commercial, residential, they are already closed. However, these ones that I'm launching tomorrow won't close until early January. So you've got a bit of time to be able to get that application form, and giving people the Christmas break to kind of spend a bit of time on those application forms and get them in. Do we have any other questions? I'm a student of urban planning, planning internships. So all of our summer internships are grouped together. So you'll be able to see what we have available on that summer internship advert. So I do recommend you get an application in quick. And the commercial scheme did close earlier this week, unfortunately, yeah. Any other questions for us? Otherwise, maybe we'll give you some time back. We just see we've got one question in there. Can I share the link for the summer internship? I will share my email again. Yes, Courtney. So my email is sophie.willmott@cbre.com. Katie, there's another question for you that's just come through.
Oh yeah, from Betty. Katie, do you go to view different sites apart from being in the office? Yes, so every project is based at different sites. So the other week I was doing an industrial property portfolio, and one of them was in Telford, in Shropshire, another one was in Swindon. The next day I was in Norwich. So it's all over the place really. Sometimes occasionally go to Ireland, but it's primarily based in the UK, so including Scotland and Wales. So yeah, it's all over. And if you have a preference for, if you like going further afield, or you know, have family or connections in a place near site, like, you're more than welcome to volunteer and take that project on as well, if that works for you. So yeah.
I see we've got another question. So the 2-year scheme at CBRE, is that 4 6-month rotations, or how is it structured? Now, how your pathway and your graduate scheme is structured will depend on your location, and also depending on the kind of the team in your area. So for like, say, Katie, who's coming to capital allowances, or if you were going into building surveying or facade engineering, because they're so niche and so specialized, you won't rotate. essentially, but you will obviously have an idea and you'll be working on lots of different projects, but you won't do a formal rotation. If you're talking about maybe for the bigger kind of like the commercial or the residential, it's usually, and in London, they tend to rotate every year. So you would tend to do maybe 2 rotations. Everything's kind of discussed with you once you get through to if you're successful at assessment centre. That obviously will just depend on your journey. And obviously when you come into us before, we ask what your preferences are. Once you've completed 1 year, you'll have a chance to express your preference as well. So that's everything that's kind of organised via our learning and development team as well. Have I missed anything else? Do we consider final year students for work experience? I'm assuming you mean for sort of internships and things like that. No, I wouldn't recommend if you're in your final year to apply for the summer internship, because obviously I'm going to go, why not just apply for the graduate scheme? That's what I would recommend doing. Our graduate schemes are due to start in September 2022. So if you're not due to finish till the summer, that doesn't leave you much time to obviously want to get a permanent job. And that's what we're offering. So I would want to see that that's your kind of main goal. Anyone else got any questions? Or Katie, is there anything else that you would like to add?
I don't think so. But if anyone's got any more capital allowances questions, don't be afraid to ask. But yeah, I think I think it's great team to join when it's quite small as well. So yeah, like I said earlier, you have more input into it, which is quite nice in such a big company.
Well, definitely your social things alone, I'm thinking.
Yeah, and hopefully next year it'll be even more, because it's been a bit restricted with obviously the restrictions.
I don't think we're going to have any more questions. Famous last words. If you're taking a break from your study, is it possible to still apply for your internship? Yeah, absolutely. If you're not completing, you're not graduating next summer, maybe you're taking a year out, maybe you're doing an industrial placement, then absolutely you can go in there. In case you're successful for grad scheme, when do you start if you're finished? So as I mentioned, everyone will start September 2022. As I mentioned earlier, we do have quite a kind of set graduate induction week that's planned, that's of your benefit to be able to kind of go in and, you know, get to know everybody that's starting at the same time. So we do kind of have a little bit of a set start date, so you wouldn't want anyone to miss out on that. So we usually allow you to really enjoy your summer after graduation, and then kind of get started usually around the 2nd week of September with us. And I said they've got that amazing weekend in Bude. I'm really hoping to get myself invited next year as well.
Yeah, it looks really fun.
So also I'm going to kind of leave that there for everyone, and hopefully you've managed to write down my email addresses if anyone's got anything they want to take offline. But thank you so much for your time today, and thank you so much, Katie, for coming in and telling us all about your journey in CBRE so far. It's been really lovely to hear about a niche area of CBRE, and I really hope people have kind of really benefited from that. I think there's just so many hidden kind of jobs that people just don't know about, which is expected in a company of our size, and we do have lots more information on our website. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for everyone.